this is part of various trips we are making at this point, both to exploit the issue of creative economy with cities that are already developed in that area, and this is a vocation of ours as well, and to talk about the possibilities arising from the development of these segments in the city.
Okay. Now, how is Sao Paulo becoming a creative center, and how is the city trying to promote that?
Well, Sao Paulo was originally an industrial city, and it has grown very much throughout the period of 100 years. Eventually, the growth of the city, the very growth of the city, and the mounting costs pushed away the existing conventional economy and industry, which was moved to the vicinities of the city or in the countryside of Sao Paulo, and that was gradually replaced by services and innovative areas, technology, fashion, design, and so on.
Now, as the city tries to attract these service providers, what sort of opportunities does that open up for companies, say, here in Atlanta as well?
Well, there is many things that can be done. Our role is to facilitate those people to get together and to know each other here and in Sao Paulo. We can see many possibilities in exchanging best practices, and that is good also for the municipalities, but also in making joint ventures, assessing each other's markets with complementary services that they may have. So there is a lot of economic movement that can be created from the initial exchange.
Now, as the city grows, what sort of challenges does that create for infrastructure and continued urban planning?
Well, first of all, we have to cope with a backlog of infrastructure. So we had to catch up with what we lost in time years ago. And we have to count on reliable partners to do so, because the market expanded, the city is very demanding in terms of infrastructure, and we must do it at a very rapid path. So we are seeking the partnership of traditional economic allies like the U.S., like the U.S. states, and now the cities. Lately, the cities have been working together very effectively in many areas: urban development, economic development, sustainability, and environment. So that's what we want to perfect and make it better with you.
Is there anything in your mind that Sao Paulo can take from Atlanta and vice versa, specifically when it comes to those issues?
Well, I can think of many things. Atlanta is a lovely city, and it's ever changing. We experienced it ourselves, but I think the example, first of the coincidence, you had the World Cup in 1994. We'll have 20 years later. Same stands for the Olympic Games. I think our connections are based in human diversity and the drive for development that we find in both cities.
Now, I also wanted to ask you about the World Expo that the city is pushing for 2020. Can you tell me more about that?
The World Expo is the third largest global event after the World Cup and the Olympics. But it's the one best suited for Sao Paulo, we think, because it has a lot of potential to leave a solid and massive legacy for the future by consolidating our project, our existing project, for a new exhibition complex. And more than that, by pushing the expansion of all transportation, roads, and all the infrastructure that you can think of. So it's a very ambitious goal and objective of the city, and one that we'll pursue, hopefully with the help of our friends here in Atlanta.
Now, do you see any lessons that the city can learn from the bids for the Olympics and for the World Cup?
Although they are not exactly the same, I think they are part of the same process. The most important thing is that if chosen, Sao Paulo and Brazil will host the first ever World Expo in Latin America. This is very important to bring these continents or the subcontinent closer together and integrate it in the new economic order, so we can be dependable partners to the US and other nations in the world. So I think it will showcase the knowledge and the expertise in that part of the world, and it will be very beneficial to both sides, for the people of Latin America and from people visiting for the first time from everywhere in the world.